Hey there, you incredible, unstoppable soul. Welcome back to the fight you were never supposed to win. Are you ready to hear about the one truth they tried so hard to keep buried? The truth they thought they could silence with their money, their power, and their endless schemes? You, yes you, made the one move they never saw coming. You picked up that phone and made a call that turned their whole world upside down. You, with your courage and your heart, became their worst nightmare. A person who refused to stay small, who refused to be scared, who refused to let their lies win. They thought they had you beat. They really did. They sat in their fancy offices, surrounded by their expensive lawyers, their private investigators, and their piles of money, thinking they had every single detail under control. They had plans upon plans, like some kind of war strategy, to keep you quiet. They had people watching your every move, following you in cars, digging into your life, trying to scare you into giving up. They had bank accounts hidden in faraway places, connections with powerful people, and every loophole in the system sewn up tight. They thought they were untouchable, that they could outsmart you, outspend you, and outlast you. They whispered in their secret meetings that you didn't stand a chance. Poor you, they thought, just a regular person up against their empire of wealth and influence. But here's the thing they didn't understand. When you push someone too far, when you take away their fear, when you strip them of everything they thought they needed to hold on to, like being liked or playing by the rules, you don't break them. You make them dangerous. You turn them into something they can't control, something that doesn't need money or armies or fancy connections. Sometimes, all it takes is one single moment, one spark, one decision to change everything. For you, that moment was a phone call. 3 minutes and 47 seconds. That's it. That's all it took to bring their whole house of cards crashing down. An empire built on lies, held together by fear, and protected by stacks of cash. It all started to crumble because of you and that one call. While they were busy counting their billions, hiring people to follow you, and paying off anyone who might talk, you were doing something much smarter. You were paying attention. You were keeping track. Every time they threatened you, you listened. Every time they tried to scare you, you remembered. Every bribe they offered, every smug look they gave you, every moment they thought you were too weak to fight back, you stored it all away. You weren't just surviving their attacks, you were building something. Not a case for a courtroom with judges and juries, but a case for the real world, where truth matters more than money. You were gathering the pieces, the evidence, the little bits of information they thought you'd never notice. And when you were ready, when the moment was perfect, you made that call. It was a Tuesday morning, 9:17 a.m. They were probably sitting in some high-rise office, drinking fancy coffee that cost more than your phone bill, laughing about how they had you trapped. They thought they were so safe, so powerful, so in control. But then you picked up your phone. Nothing special, just a regular phone. And you dialed a number. And in those 3 minutes and 47 seconds, their whole world started to fall apart. Can you imagine the look on their faces when they realized what was happening? Their assistant rushing in, looking pale and nervous. Their lawyer calling, trying to sound calm but failing because their voice was shaking. The moment it hit them that all their money, all their plans, all their so-called power didn't matter anymore. You didn't fight them where they were strong, with their lawyers and their bank accounts. You hit them where they were weak, where their lies left them exposed. And the best part? They taught you how to do it. Every time they tried to scare you, they showed you their playbook. Every time they sent someone to watch you, they gave you a lesson in how they worked. Every time they threatened you with their money or their connections, they handed you a map of their weaknesses. They thought they were so clever, freezing your bank accounts, making your job disappear, sending people to follow you and make you feel small. They wanted you to feel helpless, like you were nothing compared to their giant machine of power. But what they didn't know was that you were learning from every single thing they did. Their threats weren't breaking you. They were teaching you. Their attempts to control you were showing you exactly how to fight back. It all started so quietly, didn't it? Little things at first. A letter from a lawyer filled with words meant to confuse and scare you. A strange car parked outside your house. Or someone showing up at your work pretending to be friendly, but asking too many questions. Your bank account suddenly not working, with no explanation. Job offers that seemed promising but vanished without a trace. They wanted you to feel like the world was against you, like they controlled everything. Your money, your future, even the people around you. They had journalists who wrote what they were told, judges who owed them favors, and so much money they thought they could buy anyone or anything. To them, you were just another problem they could fix with a check. But here's what they didn't get about people like you, people like us. We don't come from their world of safety nets and easy wins. We don't learn to fight in fancy offices or conference rooms. We learn to fight in the real world, where you have to figure things out on your own, where every step is a lesson in survival. While they were learning how to play golf or make deals in boardrooms, we were learning how to keep going when everything seems lost. While they were inheriting their fortunes, we were learning that when you have nothing left to lose, you become the most powerful person in the room. You don't need money or connections. You just need to know how to use what you've got. So when they sent people to follow you, watching your every move and writing it all down, they thought they were winning. But every one of those stalkers was teaching you something. They showed you how they operated, what they were looking for, what they were afraid of. Every time they tried to scare you, they revealed a little more about themselves. When they froze your bank account, you learned how they used money as a weapon. When they tried to cut you off from your friends or your job, you learned how to find new ways to connect, new ways to keep going. Every single thing they did to break you was actually making you stronger, smarter, and more dangerous. For months, maybe even years, they thought they had you all figured out. Poor little you, struggling to pay your bills while they moved millions with a single phone call. You, checking over your shoulder for the cars that followed you, while they sat in their air-conditioned offices, deciding your fate like it was a game. They probably even had meetings about you. Can you imagine that? A room full of rich, powerful people, sitting around a big shiny table, talking about how to make sure you stayed quiet. They probably had charts and plans, maybe even a PowerPoint slide or two, all about how to keep you down. They thought they were playing a high-stakes game of chess, and you were just a pawn they could knock off the board. But they were wrong. You weren't playing their game at all. You were studying it. Every move they made taught you something new. Every time they pushed you, they showed you where they were weak. When they froze your accounts, you learned how they used money to control people. When they sent people to watch you, you learned how to spot their patterns. When they tried to make you feel alone, you found out how to build your own network of people who believed in you. Every single thing they did to hurt you was a lesson in how their world worked. And you were the best student they never noticed, sitting quietly in the back, taking notes, waiting for the right moment to use everything you'd learned. They thought they were punishing you, but they were actually giving you the best education money can't buy. Every threat, every shady move, every attempt to scare you was a class in how to fight back. And while they thought you were falling apart, you were getting ready. You were sharpening yourself into something they could never stop. A person who knew their secrets, who saw through their lies, who wasn't afraid anymore. They didn't just create someone who could fight them. They created someone who could win. So let's talk about that phone call. Not the version they'll try to spin later, when they're scrambling to save face. Not the version their lawyers will try to clean up for the newspapers. The real version. The one where your hands were shaking, but your voice was steady. The one where every word you said was chosen carefully, not to be dramatic or loud, but to be true. That's the thing about truth. It doesn't need to be fancy or loud. It just needs to be said at the right time, to the right person, in the right way. And you, after all those months or years of watching and waiting, had figured out exactly when, who, and how. Who was on the other end of that call? Maybe it was a journalist who wasn't as bought as they thought, someone who still had a bit of honesty left. Maybe it was an investigator who'd been waiting for years for someone brave enough to come forward. Maybe it was someone they'd hurt on their way to the top, someone who'd been waiting for a chance to make things right. Or maybe it was simpler than that, just the right person with the right piece of information at the exact moment when their empire was weakest. It doesn't really matter who it was. What matters is that you knew who to call. While they were busy watching you were watching them. You were mapping out their world, figuring out who they trusted, who they feared, where their weak spots were. Here's the thing about people like them. They make enemies everywhere they go. They step on people, betray friends, break promises, and think their money will keep everyone quiet. They think fear is enough to control people forever. But you knew better. You remembered everything. Every person they hurt, every deal they made, every secret they thought was safe. You kept track of it all. You became the keeper of their mistakes, the one who saw what they thought was hidden. And when you made that call, you didn't need a big speech or a team of lawyers. All you needed was the truth and the courage to say it out loud. Those 3 minutes and 47 seconds were like lighting a match in a room full of dynamite. You didn't just make a phone call. You started something unstoppable. You gave names, dates, details they thought no one would ever know. You connected pieces they thought were hidden forever. And the person on the other end, they were ready. They'd been waiting for someone like you, someone who wasn't afraid to speak up, someone who could finally pull the thread that would unravel everything. It didn't take long for things to start falling apart. Maybe it was a bank account they thought was untouchable getting frozen. Maybe it was a legal document landing on someone's desk, asking questions they couldn't answer. Maybe it was a news story breaking, shining a light on things they wanted to keep in the dark. Whatever it was, they felt it right away. Their phones started ringing, but not with good news. Their lawyers, who were always so confident, started sounding nervous. Their friends, who were always so loyal, suddenly had other plans. The empire they thought was unbreakable started to shake, all because of you. You have to understand what you did to them. These people lived their whole lives thinking money could fix anything. They thought they could buy their way out of trouble, silence anyone who spoke up, make any problem disappear with enough cash. They moved through the world like they were above everyone else, like the rules didn't apply to them. But then you came along, with nothing but a phone and a heart full of courage, and you showed them they were wrong. You broke their illusion. You made them feel what it's like to be afraid. Suddenly, the people they paid to follow you didn't show up for work. The investigators who were supposed to keep tabs on you started looking the other way. The lawyers who sent you threatening letters started talking about deals and compromises. Their whole system started to fall apart, not because it was broken, but because it was built on fear. And fear only works until someone stops being afraid. That someone was you. Now they're running scared, trying to fix something they can't. They're throwing money at the problem, like they always do. But this time it's not working. The truth is, the one thing they can't buy, the one thing they can't stop. Every move they make now just makes things worse for them. Every dollar they spend, every lie they tell, every meeting they hold, it all just adds more proof that you were right. You didn't just make a phone call that day. You started a chain reaction, a wave that's still growing, crashing over everything they built. Their fancy lives don't feel so fancy anymore. Their big houses feel like traps. Their private planes can't take them anywhere the truth won't follow. Their expensive dinners sit uneaten because they're too worried to eat. They used to think they were unstoppable, but now they're jumping at every noise, waiting for the next piece of bad news. You did that. You made them remember what it's like to be afraid. You made them feel what they made so many others feel for so long. This is the part they'll never teach in school, the part they don't put in books. Real power isn't about how much money you have or how many people you can control. It's about knowing when to use what you've got. It's about understanding that one truth, said at the right time, can be stronger than 1,000 lies. They thought they had built something that could never fall. Lies on top of lies, deals on top of deals, all held together with money and fear. But you saw the truth. Every lie they told was a debt they'd have to pay one day. Every person they hurt was someone who might fight back. Every secret they buried was a seed waiting to grow. You became the one who made those debts come due. You became the one who made those seeds sprout. You didn't need money or power or an army. All you needed was the courage to pick up the phone and say what needed to be said. And now their world is falling apart, piece by piece, because of you. Every time they try to fix it, they just make it worse. Every time they try to hide, they just shine a bigger light on themselves. You didn't just win a fight, you changed the rules of the game. You showed them that no one is untouchable, not even them. And that, my friend, is the most powerful thing of all. Their downfall was not loud, but it was devastating. Not dramatic, but irreversible. Not born of noise, but of truth. They spent years weaving a tapestry of power and influence, believing it indestructible, believing that wealth, allies, and status would forever shield them. And yet, the very fabric unraveled in their hands, stitch by stitch, when you chose not to be silent anymore. Their phones now buzz with panic instead of praise. Investors demanding clarity, partners second-guessing deals, board members whispering in rooms where confidence once reigned. Doors that once opened at the mention of their name now creak shut, hesitant and heavy. Invitations that once poured in like waves now dry up. Magazines reframe their pages around fresher, untainted faces. And the empire they thought eternal crumbles, without a single rescue in sight. Because here lies the truth they cannot escape. Money can purchase applause but never respect, can delay exposure but never erase it, can buy silence but never buy back trust. Once shattered, trust becomes a mirror that cannot be mended without its cracks showing. The whispers now travel faster than their denials. The headlines carry more weight than their corrections, and the world sees not the legend they curated, but the cracks they tried so hard to conceal. And the most piercing blow of all is this: they know it was you. Not in arrogance, not in self-promotion, not in spectacle, but in quiet, devastating precision. You made the call, you lit the spark, and you stepped back while the tower collapsed under its own weight. That silence, that refusal to gloat, terrifies them more than any interview or tell-all ever could. For silence cannot be spun. It cannot be attacked. It cannot be reshaped into a narrative that makes them victims. Silence leaves them choking on the weight of their own unraveling. And what haunts them most is that you didn't want their empire, their seat at the table, or their recognition. You never sought to sit in their gilded circles. All you wanted was truth, accountability, the balance restored. They can understand enemies who crave their status, rivals clawing for their wealth, opportunists angling for their platforms. But what they cannot process is someone who stood against them not out of greed, but out of principle, out of the sacred conviction that truth matters. This is the weight of what you carried all those silent nights. The discipline of waiting when rage begged you to move too soon. The divine patience that sharpened your blade until it was precise. You became not only the survivor, but the surgeon of justice, turning their arrogance into your arsenal, their corruption into your case, their greed into their undoing. They mistook your silence for weakness, when in reality it was strength refined by fire. And when the moment came, your strike was not messy or frantic, but a masterpiece, a single phone call that ended an empire. Now, as they drown in paranoia and watch their fortresses become prisons, they finally understand that truth is its own currency, and you were the banker all along. Beloved soul, if these words spoke to you, let them remind you of the power of patience, the victory of truth, and the strength that comes from silence, guided by faith. Thank you for walking this journey with me. In humility, I ask, if this message resonated with your spirit, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it so others may find courage in their own battles. Leave a comment about your journey, so we may walk this path together. And if you feel moved to support this work, consider making a small contribution through Buy Me a Coffee. Whether it's a penny, a prayer, or simply your presence, every offering fuels this mission of light. The link is in the description. Your kindness sustains not only this channel, but also the hope it carries to countless others. May God bless you abundantly for every seed you sow. Keep shining, keep standing, and keep believing in the unstoppable truth that lives within you. Until next time, stay strong, stay humble, and rise into your destiny.